Audrey's life is that I had told you previously that her love of life, Gabriel or Gabe, left her when they couldn't conceive a child and they were like having problems, and she gets really depressed, clinically depressed, and she visits Lahore with her grandmother and her best friend, who is also a British girl, but I have forgotten her name, so let's call her Rebecca. So we call her Becky. So when they go Lahore, they see that like people are very loving, and they have like they have reached Lahore like around 2:30 in the a.m. But like there are lots of people just there to receive them. So ये हम पाकिस्तानियों का प्यार और मोहब्बत उसमें उसने क्या नाम है डिपिक्ट किया है. And when they went there, like even at night, people were coming to meet them right away. And then what happens is that when she is there, she like realizes that she has one uncle, and her uncle is that he looked a lot like her father, the father we talked about, that he passed away when she was quite little and she used to miss him a lot, and she grew up without a father figure in her life. And then there was this aunt of hers. She had a little bit like learning disability, maybe this is what we can say. But anyways, what happened is that she was living there, she was enjoying Lahore, they used to go to different places, like they have told her how wonderful Liberty is, how vivacious Anarkali is, and then she always wanted to go to Data Saab, and she goes there with one of her family friends, and that guy's name was Haq, which means the truth. And that guy was seemed like is very much into her, and but she always thought that no, he might be younger to me and I'm divorced and blah blah blah. So what happens is, a long story short, that her grandma tried to meet her with different guys, and the examples she has shown in that are like some really ridiculous guys we have seen. But what happens is that when she figures out that her grandma is actually low-key trying her to fix her up with these guys, she's like, hey, I don't want that in my life. And organically she starts hanging out with Huck, who was already engaged with somebody else, but she figures out that uske साथ उसका अच्छा connection बन गया, the typical story and all that. So उसको हम side पे करते हैं. मैं आपको जो असल बात बताती हूँ. अगेन मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था, इन दोनों स्टोरीज़ की एंडिंग मुझे बहुत वियर्ड लगी थी और कुछ ज़्यादा पसंद नहीं आई थी. तो इसमें ये सीन है कि इसमें मैं आपको सिर्फ एक वो स्टोरी सुनाऊंगी जिसका ताल्लुक एक जिन से था. So what happens in this book is that iski jo grandma thi na, she used to tell all sort of weird stories and this and that, and one day she asked कि जिस घर में हम रहते हैं उस घर में एक there's a like a room which is always locked with a big padlock. So उस room की क्या story है? The grandma tells her कि one day she was living there and with her husband, like her grandfather, and उसने उस दिन ना खाना पकाया और थोड़ी दूर ही ग्रैंड माँ का डैड रहता था, यानी कि उस इसके ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर, इसके परनाना. ठीक है, तो ये सॉरी परदादा, तो ये उसके लिए जो है ना खाना बनाती है और अपने बाप को जब देने जाती है तो उसके बाप जो होते हैं वो एक कोई बहुत ही पायस और बुज़ुर्ग इंसान थे. So जब ये वहाँ जाती है तो she sees that he is praying and he's not even answering the door. She lets herself in and he is not like talking to anybody, and she feels like she knew whenever her father is like in that zone when he's praying, she's not supposed to talk to him. So she felt like इधर आई हूँ तो खाना रख के जाऊँगी तो थोड़ी देर रुक जाती हूँ और अपने father से मिल जाती हूँ. So she was waiting for him to get done with his prayers, that something starts happening and like the room starts spinning and all and blah blah blah, and there was the conjuncture of like a lot of jinns, like that's what they say in the book, like they were like fleeting, and yeah, it was like you know like a little scary but also interesting. So what happens is that उसके father कहते हैं कि मैंने इन लोगों को बुलाया है cause I want to interact with them, and there's a thing कि just like human beings, they also like to be entertained with food. तो मेरी बेटी बहुत अच्छा खाना बनाती है और वो आई हुई है, तो लेट्स कुक समथिंग विद देम. एंड एक्चुअली द जिन टॉट हर हाउ टू मेक पाई, लाइक अ डिश विद बोन्स. खैर, एनीवेज, ये सारी स्टोरी हो जाती है. एंड व्हेन द ग्रैंडमा गोज होम बैक, शी सीज अ लिटिल ब्लैक कैट, जो कि इधर उधर उसने पहले कभी नहीं देखी थी, पर वो सोचती थी कि चलो कोई नहीं, वो कैट आई हुई है तो कोई बात नहीं, पाकिस्तान में, लाहौर में स्पेशली, इट्स अ वेरी कॉमन थिंग. एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस दैट शी ऑल्सो रियलाइजेस कि ना, एकदम से जैसे ना सारे बर्ड्स बोलना बंद हो गए, बट वो उस वक्त शी डजंट पे दैट मच अटेंशन टू दैट फैक्ट. And her husband was at home, and then she like gives him the food and everything, and like they go to bed, and in the morning, her husband leaves for work. And when her husband leaves for work, she actually never went to close the door. She thought कि अभी थोड़ी देर तक मैं दरवाज़ा बंद करती हूँ. And it wasn't a ritual at their home कि कोई बाहर से दरवाज़ा लॉक करके जाए. So anybody who's staying inside, they lock the door. सो जब वो उठ के जाती है तो उसके घर में उसके हस्बैंड नहीं होते, बट दरवाज़ा जो होता है वो अंदर से लॉक्ड भी होता है. एंड शी ट्राइज टू लुक फॉर हर हस्बैंड इन द एंटायर हाउस, एंड शी कुडंट फाइंड हिम. एंड देन शी सीज दैट वो जो छोटी ब्लैक कैट थी ना, वो किसी पेपर बॉल के साथ खेल रही है, और वो बॉल को आगे कहीं फेंकती थी बेड के नीचे, लेकिन उस बेड से बॉल वापस बाहर आ जाता था. एंड शी वाज लाइक डैम, व्हाट्स हैपनिंग. एंड शी लाइक क्विकली गोज आउट ऑफ द हाउस, एंड शी लाइक गोज एंड आस्क अ गाय हुज दुकान वाज इन फ्रंट ऑफ देयर होम, एंड शी आस्क हिम कि तुमने मेरे हस्बैंड को सुबह इधर से निकलते देखा है. एंड ही वाज लाइक, आपको नहीं पता, आपके हस्बैंड का तो कल रात को एक्सीडेंट हो गया, एंड ही इज हॉस्पिटलाइज्ड. एंड शी वाज लाइक, व्हाट, तो मैंने रात को खाना किसके साथ खाया है? एंड व्हेन like she was worried कि ये हो क्या रहा है, she goes back to her father, and he tells her कि while she was cooking with the jinns, one of the jinns fell in love with her and went back to their home. And then जो भी पता नहीं कोई उन लोगों के rituals and all that they did, and then they made that jinn get locked up in that room which was closed, and about which Audrey has asked her grandma. ये स्टोरी हो गई. अच्छा, इस स्टोरी का मैं आपको एक थोड़ा सा और एंडिंग पार्ट बताती हूँ. ऑड्री यूज टू आस्क कि ग्रैंडमा, फिर मतलब उसके बाद क्या हुआ, उसके बाद क्या, कि डिड यू एवर इनकाउंटर दैट जिन, व्हाट हैपन, ये वो. बट ग्रैंडमा नेवर टोल्ड हर अबाउट इट. अच्छा, उसके बाद क्या होता है, बाकी लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट ये थी. आई नो आई से दैट फ्रेज अ लॉट, बट लाइक खैर होता ये है कि शी फाइंड्स आउट दैट हर Chacha was her father. Her father actually never died. He's the same guy who used to live with them, but actually it never was good enough between him and her mother, and they didn't want her to get burdened with the fact of divorce, and that's why he left her and always told that I'm your uncle and your father has died. So I don't know what sort of a memory that little girl had, but she never realized that her uncle was her dad. So yeah, that was weird. And apart from that, she finds out that Gabriel, her husband, was actually cheating on her, and guess that with whom he was cheating? Becky, her best friend. So yeah, I cannot live with such people. So yeah, this is all sort of wrong. But the only interesting thing was those recipe names and that gin story. So yeah, obviously she gets married with Hawk because he breaks off with his fiance, obviously. And after that, she in the end again asks कि भाई ग्रैंडमा आप क्यों नहीं बताती कि वो जो जिन था वो आपको दोबारा मिला कि नहीं. वो कहती मुझे जिन तो दोबारा नहीं मिला, but I actually got pregnant with the jin's kid. And she was like, what? And who is that child? And then she looked at her aunt, that one who had a little bit of learning disability. So yep, here is Audrey's story. And you guys let me know in the comments below that did you like her story better or Sophie's. Later, bye.